Hello everyone, we're going to take another look at Exanima. So, I got knocked out, and I spawned back in the boss fight room. The boss wasn't in here, he's out here standing in the hallway, so I have no choice but to engage him. But now I do have the power armor, if not enough health to do this. Well, he's not hitting me very hard. Nor am I him, though. That crystal burnt out quick. Well, just throw me around like a rag doll. This isn't looking good for me. This is not a good look. Fighting this guy out in the hallway seems to be where it's at. Oh. Well. This is definitely not a good look for me. Does it strip me of the armor? No, it does not. Boys, it burned out that crystal like nothing. Well, if he's still back out in the hallway, I don't know if I have a choice but to fight him or not. Can I get by you, or are you gonna just... So, we're cool then? That must be a bug. I am going to keep the power armor. I still have yet to locate the mace. Don't think I'm going to jump on him again, though. So, there's not a whole lot left for me to do other than find that mace, which I've been looking for off camera, and kill him. So what I'm going to do is cut right here, and then we will have our conversation about the lore. Stick your face in the fire. So I'm going to cut right here, guys. Follow that link that ZM Rangers sent me, and see what my conclusions are, and then see what crazy stuff I can possibly get into with this game with what's here. I will be right back. Hello everyone, this is Bread. I have followed the link that ZM Ranger has given me to all of the lore in the book, and I'm going to read over it with you and talk about some of my thoughts. Also, I'm not going to try to butcher this name, but it appears to be this gentleman or gentle lady's post. Right here, Alendi, maybe? I just want to make sure that you guys know that this is the person that posted this, and that's where you can find this as well if you want to see it. This one is in the maze on the first level where you have to go through that gauntlet of pit traps, and it helps you solve a puzzle. So does this one, I believe. So I've read this one to you before, talking about a proctor, just as I feared, yet I grew complacent. She was well prepared. Obviously, she had some ideas of what to expect. It was only luck she didn't kill me. I cannot stay here. I must hide and prepare defenses. I don't know how I'll be able to continue my work. The proctor would have made an excellent subject. Shame I had to kill her. I will leave her here to impede any who pursue me. So, from earlier notes where he talks about people being sent in, someone's going to notice all of these missing people, I think that proctor was the response. And I suppose if you make a new character who is a proctor, you are the response to all of the missing people. And in that, he was correct. Someone would eventually notice all of the missing people. And this is talking about how, I believe you find this in the same place that you find the other one that tells you how to do the puzzle. It tells you get burned if you do it wrong. And you do get burned if you do it wrong. I did it wrong a bunch of times, but I don't think I recorded it when I went through it. Burn it all, a lifetime watching over things that I must now quietly consign to the fires. For what? The teachings of a monstrous traitor? The sorry truth is that no one is willing to admit they were wrong. Too much was invested. It couldn't be for nothing, and so we go forth and burn the past behind us. Let blind hope be our guide. So this is off of an old piece of parchment. So these are the people that were there before. I believe you find that in the 3rd or 4th level of the dungeon. It implies to me that whatever was happening before finally come to a head. But I didn't see any evidence that I can think of anything being burned or destroyed en masse, unless it was done well. And whatever happened there happened in a hurry. There are cups on tables, dice on tables, armor and shields and stuff still on the racks. In the golem factory, there's still pieces of golems laying around. There's a nearly completed golem that's on a table, which implies to me that right up until whatever happened, things were going as the status quo, and that it was more or less unexpected. Dassen, keep a watchful eye over the scribes and the archivists, especially the archivists. There have been many reports of things being taken and hidden away. We must be thorough. I think that, and there's a report later of someone talking about a specific name where he's been there longer than anyone and they think he's hiding stuff. Those point to that helmet that I found behind the secret door, I believe. Some of the soldiers are trying to intimidate me into giving them certain items. I made the mistake of trying to explain why we limit their use. Clearly they do not agree, and now they dislike me more. Should I inform the captain? I see no choice that will not lead me to more trouble. I think that, because we later these aren't really in very good order. Later on, he does correspond and say where he found them in the dungeon, best to his memory. But I think this is either talking about the healing goop that we find, or maybe the crystals. But to me, I think it's most likely the crystals, since they're talking about soldiers, because there are notes that talk about the treatment of grievous injuries, and that glowing healing goop will heal some grievous injury. But there's not a lot of it. At least not that we found. When I took this oath, I told myself my life no longer mattered. Now that courage, that sense of purpose, is fading fast. I look to the others for strength, but I find the same doubt in their eyes. They mocked us, and now I see the truth of it. This is senseless. Again, this is another old piece of parchment. Well, I feel like this maybe happened after this, because they're like, well, we've got to do this and let hope be our guide. Well, now they're becoming hopeless. I fear I don't have long left. I have abandoned my efforts to escape death. It was foolish, and yet I have accomplished so much. I must try to send word to Thaven. He will see the importance of my work, even though he is concerned with other matters. I wonder what the other matters are, and if they will come into play. I believe Thaven's pursuits to be as hollow as my own, a stubborn refusal to accept bitter truths. After what I've seen here, anything seems possible. I will spend the rest of my days discovering what I can still be of help. So this is the person that sent word to Thaven, and I think Thaven does arrive in the dungeon. There's no guarantee that he does. It's implied that Thaven is down here in other letters, but he doesn't say for sure that he sends for him. I have never been so terrified. I was attacked by a huge, dreadful creature. A demon, perhaps? I tried to control it, but though its mind felt completely unguarded, it was oblivious to my intrusion. I was only able to confuse it briefly and get away. I am defenseless against this thing. I dare not venture out again. These dead guards, perhaps I could call them to action. I don't imagine they could do much against such a monster, but the distraction might cover my escape. So that nods to Sir. I want to know what Sir is. And I feel like, honestly, a couple of these undead guys could probably jump up on Sir and kill him. Like, he's not that bad of a fight. Like, the first time I fought him, I dropped him the first encounter. The second time through, I wasn't as lucky. I think you're better to go sword and board fighting Sir. But he doesn't seem like he's meant to be some kind of insurmountable creature. And I'd like to know why he's here. It seems dreadfully out of place to me, unless I'm missing something. I don't know where he comes from or why. I think that is you. I think they're talking about you when you take the unknown background. That is what I think. The only thing that doesn't add up with that statement is that they found a most remarkable weapon and escaped. One of my subjects found a most remarkable weapon and escaped, making quick work of anything in his path. I was surprised by his ability to guard his mind against me. I tracked his escape for some time, but he then completely vanished from my senses. How did he do that? Who is he? It sounds like you wake up lying on the ground when you're unknown. When you're the proctor, it looks like you kind of may have just dropped down from the ceiling. But you wake up when you are that character. So, maybe you fled. Because if you are one of his subjects that he was experimenting on, why aren't you still being experimented on? Or, why aren't you dead? Now, you may very well not be one of his subjects. We did talk about how perhaps you were sent, and for the life of me, I can't remember exactly what was on the letter that they send you, but that you start with in your inventory if you're unknown. But you're either someone who has come there seeking Thaven or someone else in the dungeon to become a thaumaturge, in my opinion, or you are an escaped subject of one of the necromancers in the dungeon. I have found a helmet which blocks my power when I wear it. Perhaps more importantly, it shielded me from the noise of other minds. That presence that has haunted me since I came here was gone. Shortly after donning it, I fell asleep. I am certain it was not its power that did this, but the calm that came over me. I had not slept so well in quite some time. I feel certain now that it is this presence that causes unrest and aggressiveness in my subjects. Clearly, it is malevolent. There's another letter along with that one where he talks about this one. What terrible place is this? A thunderous voice shouts unintelligibly in my mind, as though trying to command me with wordless urgency. It is as though it wants to he wrote botch. Both urge me and soothe me. I am terrified that I may succumb to its will. This strangle helm is my only respite, but it leaves me vulnerable. There is also a constant wailing of ancient, restless spirits. Has this presence been keeping them from finding peace? So, my question is, are the zombies, the lesser undead that are on the first couple of levels, are they hostile to you because the necromancer wants it so, or are they hostile to you because of this presence? This, and again, that this is the game that I imprint on every other fantasy game. I'm a big Dungeons and Dragons person. I just finished running Curse of Strahd, and that is what this made me think of immediately, is a force similar to what he does in Barovia. Barovia is a pocket dimension that exists outside of everything else. Inside there, when you die, your spirit cannot escape and is driven mad in the mists that surround Barovia. Also, he controls the dead and the wildlife in the area and they do his bidding, which is usually malevolent. It sounds like something similar to that. Whatever has dominion over this place, when you die, you're added to that list of things that he controls directly. And this is the one that hints at that secret door. He's certain that Zuik is importing contraband goods. We have searched his lodgings in the glass workshop on several occasions. We never find anything, not even a hiding place he might use. That old toad has been here longer than any of us, and he thinks he can outsmart us. I must be missing something, but what? I believe that is the magic helmet behind the secret door. Zuik, as you know, I have placed a very special order with you. Given the significant payment I have given you, I expect prompt delivery. Why have I yet to hear from you? I think it was supposed to be the helmet that was delivered to him. Of course, Zuik is apparently who works in the glass shop, so maybe it was something glass. But that's the two things that tie together for me. I'm sitting at a tavern, something I have not done in a long time. Alas, it is quite empty, and all the drink is spoiled long ago. These people cannot have been so different from us, and yet some things are very strange. Are lamps and even fires... There are lamps and even fires that never burn out. I do not understand the source of their power. These walls echo with the souls of the long dead, but beneath that I sense something else, like a far-reaching presence. It is faint, but everywhere, and very strange. Could this be the mythical guardian, or even Thaven's spellgiver? I think this is who sent for Thaven. I think this is Thaven. Or they could be the same person. If that is the case, then that is not Thaven. That is the person who sent for Thaven. But this, you find this before you find this. I feel a growing resentment for Thaven. On the one hand, I wish to please him, to impress him, but such thoughts then lead me to anger. I once believed there was friendship between us. Now I think perhaps it was based on naught but common interest. His disregard for all things other than his single-minded purpose has hurt us. It has put us all in difficulty and danger. I was always feared, but I was always respected, to be driven from my home by peasants. So, that malevolent force seems to cause anger and violent urges in those it can affect. That person that has the helmet, if it's not Thaven, then it's this person here. And he was driven from his home by peasants. It may not be that simple. It may be that whatever this is corrupting him, making him angry, and so he's misremembering things. Because we do read something that talks about how subjective memory is. Maybe that what this force down here does is twist your memories, twist your thoughts, to make you angry and violent until it devolves you into something else. But more importantly, put us all in difficulty and danger. There are two names, and a third person speaking in the first person, Thaven, Papin, and this unknown speaker. That he could mean all three of them. But all implies more than two to me, because otherwise you would have put us both in difficulty and danger. So, there could be a handful of people down here, or it could just be Thaven, the unknown speaker, and Papin. So far, results are disappointing. I suppose I should have expected as much after the initial dramatic progress. I am seeing some improvement, but I feel as though I need a change in direction to really go further. If only poor Papin was still with me, exchanging thoughts with him would benefit me greatly. I think that dramatic success we're seeing is if I'm not mistaken, this is one of the documents that you find in second or third level, where you find some blood-soaked books and some corpses that have apparently been worked on. That is his dramatic success, and that maybe is why the zombies there begin to fight more, in my opinion, more impressively, less sluggishly, and are a bit tougher. I'm not sure what happened to happen. Unless the adventurers that have been sent down here mentioned in other letters seeking treasure killed him, I'm not sure what else it could be. Haman has obviously cast aside our agreement. He's sending far too many down here. I've lost all contact with him. What is he trying to do? One of these wretches confessed that he was told to seek treasure. Someone will notice all these missing people, and if that one finds me while I sleep, I no longer feel safe here. I have locked the doors, but I should venture further and look for something more secure. Excuse me. So, this is why they've gone deeper. I think most of the people that we encounter on the upper floors are these adventurers that were told to seek treasure and what has been done to them. And perhaps that's why we don't find... That's the justification for not finding treasure like gold and things of that nature. Because whoever left in a hurry, and usually if I'm running for my life, my money is not the first thing I'm going to grab. But it may have been looted. I think my illness has worsened since coming here. I often feel confused, as if battling conflicting thoughts. My temper keeps getting the better of me, an aggressive trait I never knew I possessed. Perhaps it is simply a response to all that has happened. Even so, it scares me. I don't recognize myself. I must make a greater effort to retain my composure. I think it is that force that we read about. I think it's beginning to impact him worse. Whatever his illness is worsening because of that. The presence here is a corrupting one. But I'm not sure if it's affecting us. And maybe that is something that will come with an update. But I don't think that there is... I don't recall ever hearing anything unintelligible, and I'm a pretty aggressive fucker anyway, so it doesn't really... A change in my aggression really wouldn't be noticed, I don't think. After, like, level 1, I kill everything that moves. Anyway, so... Dearest Mathis, Alara has disappeared. Many have gone missing of late, but bandits in the area are not uncommon. Alara, however, does not travel. Why would they have taken her? I dread to think what they might do to her. I thought of a ransom, and so I am ashamed to admit I thought of you. But there have been no requests for ransom, just more and more missing. I assume news of these events have not reached Ardent. It has been long since we've seen a proctor. What am I to do, dear cousin? Will you at least advise me? The person we find dead, next to this is where you find the key on the first level. He's got this note. I am assuming he is the one who penned the letter, or he is Mathis and has come in response. So it's either Ooh, will you advise me, Tessa? I just noticed that. That, to me, implies a female name. So I think that is Mathis we find there. Mathis decides to respond, and we find him dead on the first level of the dungeon with this letter. But what probably happened is he's dressed like a noble to me. So what probably happened is he was like, "Send for the proctors. I'm going myself. Tell them to come after me." And then promptly died on the first level. And then they send a proctor, who dies later. And then if you play a proctor, then I suppose they send you. This appears to be the final page of a letter, and assist him in whatever way you can. If all else fails, then recover any information he has gathered and bring it to me. There is potential in you. Succeed here and we will find a place for you. Badly scribbled across the back of the page are the following words: there is another way out. I think that is the letter you start with if you take the unknown start. it still, and if I'm correct and that is the letter that you start with, then I think personally it supports my idea that you were not sent here to, well, you were sent here to seek them out, but you have become a subject and escaped. Assist him in whatever way you can. If all else fails, then recover any information he has gathered and bring it to me. Say, but you're captured and you become a subject in their experimentation. Succeed here and we will find a place for you. Whatever organization you are working for has sent you here as sort of a spy, rogue, maybe even an assassin. Maybe you're Thaven and you don't know it. That's another thought that I've had. He sends for Thaven. Thaven goes, well, shit, and responds to, and then rather than respond, he reaches out to whomever he may be working for. Again, put all of us in danger. There may be other players in this game. So if we assume that you are Thaven, you send off to whoever you work for, your boss is, or whoever you consider reaching out to, and this is part of his response. Assist him in whatever way you can. If all else fails, recover any information he has gathered and bring it to me. There is potential in you. Succeed here and we will find a place for you. It does talk about how Thaven, it makes Thaven sound like he's self-centered and only interested in what he wants. So he may be coming down here like, fuck him. I'm going to take his stuff and return it to my masters and gain whatever he's wanting in trade. And perhaps for whatever reason, we don't remember that we're Thaven. That supports why you have a thaumaturgy bar, why you have a mana bar, but not a way to use it. You have all the magical potential, but you have lost it for whatever reason. Maybe you hit your head on the way down. I don't think they do something that simple, but maybe you hit your head on the way down. Maybe something wiped your memory. Maybe the person that sent for you that you come down for, thumped you, or did something magical to you that made you lose who you were, and now you wander around trying to piece together what has happened. Consignment has arrived. I must find a suitable place and begin work. Finally, I can resume living with a vague semblance of decency. I cannot stand this filth any longer. I've been living like an animal. I don't remember if that's an old note or a new note. I believe that was an old note. I don't feel like the people that have come down here are going to get a consignment sent to them. Life of Linus Fendrick. I would assume it would be by Linus Fendrick. A famous book with an even more famous story surrounding it, often told by mothers to their young children. A cautionary tale on the dark and sinister trappings of thaumaturgy. Fendrick was a gifted thaumaturge who lost his young wife and 3 children in some gruesome accident. He was thus driven to necromancy in the hope of resurrecting them, not the traditional crude raising of the dead, but with full sentience and cognizance. His practices and experiments were most vile in nature, kidnappings, torture, murder, keeping his family's bodies in a state between life and death for some 40 years. His crimes were plentiful and led to nothing save failure and despair. See, this immediately makes me think of Dark Souls, because I believe when you go down into the Tomb of the Giants, and I don't know if they drew inspiration from that, I'm just telling you what I tie to it. I can't remember his name, he's a boss that you fight in a giant coffin. That's his story, essentially. He tried to bring, I believe, his wife and his kid back, and he became this monster as a result. But to me, when I read this, it makes me immediately think of Thaven and the unnamed necromancer in the dungeon. You know, most people, you get a story like this read to you as a child, you're like, I want to stay away from magic. And then the other kids are like, ooh, we can make zombies? Like, it makes me think of maybe stuff like this became their inspiration. The Forgotten Power. According to this book, humans are powerful, immortal beings that have forgotten their true nature. That by living your life by a certain moral code, performing certain rituals, and eating a certain diet, you can achieve great power and ultimately unlock your dormant immortality. I feel like this is a red herring, honestly. Like the first question that I would ask of the person who wrote this book is, how do you know that if you don't know how to do it? Like who gave you that information and didn't go ahead and tell you how you do that? You find this in one of the surgery rooms where apparently experiments have been happening, and it's covered in blood. Forgotten by Aim Corin, a scholarly book about memory and cognizance, what we forget and why we forget it, how we choose to make a history for ourselves regardless of the facts, how we are defined by wholly unreliable and the subjective thing we call memory. You see, that is what got me thinking, maybe in the unknown you have lost your memory, but you are one of these bigger players in the game. And you'll find out later. And by then you'll be high level and be like, oh yeah, I'm powerful. I remember it now. A long list of people undergoing treatment of often grievous wounds. Many of the injuries appear to be bites and lacerations, presumably resulting from animal attacks. So, this is what made me think maybe the soldiers were requesting the use of the healing goop because of this. Because people were hurt. But they're like, we don't have a lot of the healing goop, so we can't use it all. But, I can see a soldier being like, well, my people are dying, and I'm taking your healing goop. This, to me, applies that whatever was attacking, possibly these animals, or one monster, was killing people. A list of people assigned guard duty here. The same names are repeated, signed, and stamped over and over again. Occasionally, a name disappears suddenly and was replaced by another. No reason for this is noted. Because if I was like, well, he was mauled to death, it's not good for morale to put that on the guard sheet. On the fire guard sheet, you don't want to put so and so was replaced because he's dead. It's not good for morale. A log of work orders. It seems as though many people were involved in completing them. Most of the names seem strange, and many items described with words you've never seen before. I think maybe that was going into either the creation of the crystals or the creation of the golems. The people up top were doing the little piddly stuff that the people downstairs and deeper in needed. Ghosts. This book presents itself as nothing more than a collection of absurd theories on the existence of ghosts. However, there are parts written in a different tone. There is an innate power in the ghost realm. Unlike the physical world, it is not governed by the constraints of matter or the laws of physics. A ghost can conjure anything. Any object of power they can simply call into being, much as we do when we dream. This, however, requires keen awareness of their condition, an understanding of their realm and their place within it. Most ghosts wander in a state of confusion, at the mercy of twisted thoughts and perceptions, but not all. There are those that have awakened, or perhaps never slept, never were in a dreamlike state. These wield great power. They can shape things not only in the ghost realm, but within our own. This, to me, I believe is a foreshadowing text of what my commenters recently pointed out to me were ghosts going to be added into the game. And it sounds like they are going to be bad. But maybe good. Not all. You think ghost and you think bad, always. But it's just a dead person that for some reason hasn't passed on. Or depending on the meta you use, I guess. But that's what I'm going to assume. So, what's to say that a good person or a helpful person can't become a powerful ghost, as read here? And maybe it's another red herring. A log of work orders. It seems as though many people were involved in completing them. Most of the names seem strange, and many items are described with words you've never seen before. Oh, that's the same one as there. I think it comes up twice. A catalog. I think it's actually in the game twice. A catalog exhaustively describing many common and unremarkable plants in great detail. It's hard to imagine why anyone would undertake such a pointless endeavor. maybe they're not common and unremarkable. Well, maybe they're common, but maybe they're not unremarkable for what's going on down here. Not many people make magic crystals and portals and undead and golems. Maybe something they need happens to be common. A detailed log of various materials being delivered and dispatched. The script and some of the spelling seem very unusual, which you assume must be dates of a format you can't make sense of. So it seems like maybe it's in some kind of code, but if it were in code, you wouldn't be able to really even make out that it was a log, except perhaps by the format of the page. But it sounds like... I don't understand. They have different names and use strange words, but we're able to read some of their other letters. So it's not like there's a language barrier of some kind. Maybe slightly? Like Old English to English? Because we don't really know how much time has passed between the old notes and the new notes. And I want to know where these people are that we've gone for. They clearly didn't find the magic mace. They clearly didn't find, the golem and the magic power armor, because you find it. And if they found it and didn't succeed, they would be dead and nearby. But whoever come through did take the time, it looks, to desecrate all of the tombs and raise all of the undead. But some of the undead, as ZM Ranger has pointed out to me, and I think Nicholas Holmes may have, is that some of the zombies in the lower level are blackened. And they fight even better than the zombies upstairs, and they're more or less uniformly equipped. And I personally, I think so kind of are the skeletons a lot of the times. They're always wearing the brass breastplate, they always have the brass shield, or a two-handed weapon that seems to be of similar make. Those are the guys that come out of the tombs. Whoever those people are, they were more or less some kind of contingent of the same group. Same with the ancient undead, the zombies, the blackened zombies. But the one zombie that I am curious the most about is still the guy we find with the mask. I don't think his note was actually in here, but he talks about how he is trapped and that he is going to die, that the mask will prolong his life, but will just end up making him suffer more. If that is the case, then why is he undead? Did somebody come through and raise him and then lock him back in there? That's the one curious thing to me. What has caused him to rise? I understand the skeletons, maybe even the ancient undead, if the necromancers come through here and we're able to raise them, but why is he alive? That's still curious to me. And I'm curious how many people are down here. It implies that there's only 3, Papin, the unnamed necromancer, and Thaven, if any of them are still alive, I don't think Papin's still alive, or 2 of them are still alive, but perhaps more. And if you are someone who is sent here to spy on them, who are you supposed to report to based on your note from the unknown background? Or, if my theory is correct and you're Thaven, who are you supposed to be reporting back to? And the people of Ardent, I believe it was Ardent, a town or city, country, county, I don't really know, that was listed in that note, sent by Tessa to her cousin. If more people have to be coming, because a bunch of people go missing. Okay, we send an investigator. They never return. The next step is to come in force. So I think whatever is going to happen next is there's going to be a big response from topside too. Or if you play the proctor, maybe you're the next responsible. Like, we'll send another proctor. Because we don't know a whole lot about the proctors. Like I think they sound like sheriffs, some kind of law enforcement agency, but maybe they're like harpers, and they act alone most of the time. But it definitely paints an interesting picture because it gives you just enough to know that there are workings you can't see and lets you speculate, but not enough to make a hard, this is what's going on, at least in this situation. And there are some recent undead upstairs, which in the first level, which makes the timeline interesting to me. So, from the time you wake up or drop down, there's a dead guy with a red shirt and a weight bar next to him, near where you find the key you need, next to the noble, and the noble. They're dead, but they're not long dead. They're not decayed, even slightly, like some of the zombies. That means to me that they've not been there a terribly long time. If that's the case, then that letter that was sent to him wasn't sent all that long ago, I suppose. And who is the guy in the red shirt that's dead, other than, a way to get a red shirt and a weight bar? Like, he killed a zombie and then died, it looks like, because there are two corpses in there. One that is rotten and him. And that also implies to me they are newer than the proctor downstairs, because she is rotten when you fight her. So there are recent arrivals, even though they're dead, to this place. Which, again, I think supports what I'm saying, that there will be more coming. And we will really need to know who we are when that comes up. Being a proctor probably won't be so bad if good people come from the surface like, hey, I'm a cop. But if you're the unknown, it could complicate things. There could be layers we don't see because, what if I'm right? What if you are Thaven and you don't remember it? But you were, because of, you were run off by peasants from your home. Because it sounds like Thaven did do something that caused all of them to be put in danger, whoever this group is. That includes Thaven. So they see you and they're like, oh, evil necromancer, and attack you. And, if they add dialogue in, where instead of just grunts, they're like, oh, die, evil necromancer, you know what I'm saying? You would kind of begin to piece it together. Or maybe they're like, who the hell are you? And you're like, I don't know who I am. You tell me. It's definitely going to make for an interesting game. And again, I just want a light spell and a crossbow. I want to know how they're going to do ranged combat, because to me, it doesn't look like there's enough range. And as far as I can zoom out, it doesn't look like there's enough range to make proper use of a ranged weapon, unless I have a little buddy that I can send out to harry you while I pump you full of arrows or crossbow bolts or sling bullets or throwing knives, whatever it is that you're projecting at the enemy with the intent to kill them. And another thought that I've had recently, so you have yellow damage and red damage. Red damage is, oh, I'm dying. Yellow damage is, I'm knocked out. It would be interesting, especially as a proctor, to be able to knock someone out and arrest them. I mean, there would have to be a little bit of suspension of disbelief, a little fade to black where we put them on a horse or trade them in for a bounty or whatever. But it would be interesting to be able to take people alive. And in the arena, I would really like to know when I win again in a fight, whether they're dead or knocked out. And a lot of times I wail on them until I'm pretty sure they're dead. But I also would like to see in the arena the addition of new professions. And I think they will, because if you look at the professions when you go to recruit people, it says combatant, I believe. So it would be nice if you could add someone who is a trainer, and you pay him, and every day they get a little blip of experience, or, or they get a little bit faster, or whatever. and you'll have different people that do different things. Maybe you get a weaponsmith and you pay him, and every so often he turns out a weapon that you don't have to buy. Stuff like that. You know, make it more like a gladiatorial thing where we're re-encountering some of the same people we fought before, and some fights are to the death. Or some fights are like point fights, where like the first blow wins, or the first 3 blows win, and then some judge, Roman, like thumbs up, thumbs down, decides whether or not you kill the other person. Stuff like that. That would be a cool addition. I don't know if that fits the genre, but it would be neat. And I'm curious to see, and I haven't actually looked, now that I think of it, if there are mods. But I feel like a lot could be done with this game with a modding community that gets behind it. I see this game having the potential to become like a cult classic, becoming a really big thing and with a pretty moderate audience. Like, I don't think this game will blow up and become super famous, but I think with a lot of people, it's going to be really popular for a really long time. And that doesn't happen a lot anymore. It's nice to play a game with a good single-player story that is interesting and has ambience and no microtransactions. That's a good start. But essentially, if we're making bets, if you want me to tell you what I'm betting on, I think the unknown playthrough you're saving, and that you've lost your memory for some reason, and that you were supposed to report back to someone else, whether you were rolling on your friends and turning them in to whoever works at Ardent, maybe for a pardon or for some kind of power, or if you're the proctor, you have been sent in response to the other proctor's death and the disappearances in the area to kill or capture whomever is the cause of it and report back. That's what I think, ultimately. I think that whatever is downstairs is all 3, the Guardian, Spellgiver, and Corruptor. I think it's going to be one entity, or all 3 of them together. And where it mentioned that if Spellgiver and the Corruptor are the same entity, I would say that maybe they are, maybe they aren't. But whatever Thaven's goal is, that would be for naught if they are. I'd say it's not going to be they're not and he's good, or they are and he's screwed. It's going to be somewhere in between. There's going to be some kind of twist. But that's what I think. And that's what I've been able to piece together. I hope it wasn't too meandering of a talk about this. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. This is going to be all I'm going to do for a minute, I think, with Exanima.